Hi DIYers, this is Michael from Alarm Grid, and today I'm going to be answering the question of why your Qolsys IQ Panel 2 or Qolsys IQ Panel 2 Plus is making a strange noise every half hour. Now the reason for this strange noise is actually because the system's tamper cover is released. The system isn't closed properly, and the panel is trying to remind you to close the system properly. Now this noise is weird, to say the least. It can be a bit unsettling. I think it sounds kind of like a mechanical dolphin, like SeaWorld was having a bad day, or something like that. Others have described it as kind of like the old dial-up connections for your computers when you were logging on to the internet back in the 90s or whenever. Some still today, but it's a weird sound, to say the least. It doesn't last very long, only like a second or two, but it occurs right on the dot every 30 minutes, and you'll be like, what is that? And a lot of people want to fix it. If you are getting this sound, it's actually not really a problem if you can live with it. It doesn't really mean anything's wrong with the system. It just means that your system's open and you need to close it. So I'm going to show you the way that Qolsys recommends closing the system. It's a bit tricky, but I'm going to show you what they recommend. Okay, so we have our IQ Panel 2 on the board here, and I'm just going to go and open it up for demonstration purposes. So you can see that our panel is open. And the way that Qolsys recommends closing it, they kind of want you to position it at the top at a 45-degree angle, and you can wiggle it to get it into place so that it's secured. And once it is, you do the bottom tabs, and then you kind of finish up at the top tabs. And it can be a bit tricky to get it right, but it looks like we did it pretty good. We got the message here for the tamper cover. So I'm just going to go and, well, I guess that's an invalid user disarm, but you would normally get a tamper condition up there. But we're going to just go and ignore that. And so that's how you close the IQ2. We also wanted to show you how you would try and close the Qolsys IQ Panel 2 system if you have it on a table or a desk as opposed to being wall mounted. So we have Qolsys IQ Panel 2 on the table here. And so like I said, you kind of do it at a 45-degree angle. That's what Qolsys recommends for closing their beast of a system here. And you get it right there. So it's positioned, and you lock the bottom into place. Don't get it caught on your shirt like I did. And lock the bottom into place, and then do the top end. It's still not perfect, but it's getting closer. We got the bottom. The bottom looks good. And the top end, we almost have it. We're going to try this again real quick. Like I said, it's a tricky system to close, so don't open up your IQ Panel 2 unless you have to. And luckily, the only reason you really ever should need to is because the battery needs to be replaced. So you see we have the top aligned, and then the bottom snaps, and then the top stays, and we got the system closed. So lastly, I wanted to show you how you would disable the tamper for the system. If you just can't get the darn panel closed, then this is a last resort option. Just be aware that by doing this, you won't get an alert if anyone fully opens up the panel, but it will stop the sound from occurring, and you won't have to live with the issue anymore. So this is certainly an option you can do if you really just can't get it closed, which we have a difficult time with it ourselves. So to disable the tamper for a Qolsys IQ Panel 2, you start by choosing the small gray bar at the top of the main screen. Choose Settings, Advanced Settings. Enter in your installer code, which ours is at the default of 1111. And then you choose Installation, and you choose Security and Arming. And you see the Panel Tamper feature right here. Ours is enabled. Panel Tamper is enabled. And we just click the box right there to uncheck it. And you see Panel Tamper is disabled. That disables the setting, and we can just return to the home screen. And then the Panel Tamper is disabled. We won't have to worry about the sound anymore if our IQ Panel 2 isn't closed properly. You should try to close it properly best you can, but if you can't do it, then that is an option. And remember, you really won't need to open up the system very often. Really the only reason to is because you're replacing the battery, which is done every few years. When the battery can no longer hold a charge, you swap out the battery. But the communicators, the IP communicator, the Wi-Fi card, and the cellular LTE communicator, they're all integrated into the system. And so you really shouldn't need to open up the panel very often. So just try to avoid opening up your IQ Panel 2 if possible. And just to show you, this is an example of what the Qolsys IQ Panel 2 will sound like if you leave the tamper cover open. So that's how you deal with the tamper issue on the Qolsys IQ Panel 2 system. If you have any questions about the Qolsys IQ Panel 2 Plus or about alarm monitoring in general, send an email to support@alarmgrid.com. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up below to like the video. And remember to subscribe to our channel for updates on future videos. We hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you.